Every morning for 5 years, a woman stepped over a threshold in the city of Meroe. And every morning she placed her foot directly on the face of the man who claimed to own the world. Beneath the sand, buried under the entrance to a victory temple, lay a head of bronze. It was the likeness of Augustus, the first emperor of Rome, the man who had crushed Cleopatra, conquered Egypt, and who claimed the divine right of a god. But in the Kingdom of Kush, in what is today Sudan, he was no god. He was a doormat, and the woman who placed him there had only one eye left to see him with. We have been taught that the Roman Empire was invincible, that their legions were a juggernaut that no one could stop. But history has a hole in its memory, a hole shaped like a queen who refused to kneel. They called her Amanirenas, a Kandake, a war queen who didn't just defend her land, she attacked the empire. But Kush was no ordinary kingdom to be toyed with. It was a civilization forged in iron and gold, where female rulers, the Kandakes, were not the exception, but the architects of an empire that had endured for 1,000 years. When Rome looked south, they saw resources. Amanirenas saw a threat to the very soul of her people. This is not a story of a woman who begged for her freedom. This is the story of the woman who took it and forced Rome to rewrite its own rules. The year is 24 BC. Rome has just annexed Egypt. They're arrogant, wealthy, and hungry for more. The Roman prefect, Aulus Gallus, looks south toward the rich gold mines of Kush and makes a fatal mistake. He assumes a woman on a throne means a vulnerable flank. Gallus takes his best legions and marches off on an expedition to Arabia. He leaves the border with Kush exposed. He expects diplomacy. He gets a trail of fire. Amanirenas did not wait to be attacked. She was a strategist of the highest order. With an army of 30,000 soldiers, she swept down the Nile like a sandstorm. Saini, Feli, Elephantini, the Roman garrison fell before they could even send a messenger. It was here she performed her most iconic act. She ordered her men to topple the massive bronze statues of Augustus. She knew that in Rome the emperor's image was the emperor's body. By beheading the statue, she didn't just commit an act of war, she committed sacrilege. She took that head all the way back to Meroe, not as a trophy for the shelf, but as a permanent reminder that Rome could bleed. By burying the head beneath the threshold, Amanirenas transformed every step her people took into a political act. Every time a servant, a soldier, or a child entered a temple, they were symbolically treading upon a face of a Roman emperor. It wasn't just a victory, it was a daily ritual of defiance against the man who called himself a god. But she also knew the emperor would answer, and that answer would cost her an eye. Rome did not take the insult lightly. Emperor Augustus, humiliated by the loss of his statues and his territory, sent his best tactical mind, Petronius, to reclaim Egypt. The Roman counterattack was a wall of iron. They pushed the Kushite forces back all the way to the holy city of Napata. But Amanirenas was not the leader who commanded from a distant throne. She was a Kandake, a warrior queen who bled with her soldiers. A Roman geographer, Strabo, a contemporary of this very war, described her not as a distant myth, but as a masculine woman who had lost an eye in battle. Even through the biased lens of a Roman historian, her presence was undeniable. In the ancient world, such an injury often meant the end of a command. But for Amanirenas, the loss of an eye seemed to sharpen her vision. She didn't retreat to heal, she stayed on the front lines, a bandage over her face, becoming a living symbol of Kushite defiance. To her people, she was no longer just a queen, she was an immortal force of nature. Petronius thought he had won when he razed Napata to the ground. He thought the one-eyed woman was finished. He was wrong. While the Romans celebrated, Amanirenas was already rebuilding, recruiting, and waiting for the scorching heat of the desert to do what her arrows hadn't yet finished. By the 5th year of the war, the Roman Empire was exhausted. This wasn't just the quick conquest they had imagined. They were stuck on a forever war against a woman who simply refused to go away. In 20 BC, a stalemate was reached at the island of Samos. This is where Amanirenas proved she was more than a warrior. She was a diplomatic genius. She sent her ambassadors to meet Augustus himself, but they didn't come with a white flag. They came with a bundle of golden arrows. Her message was simple. If you want peace, these are a gift. If you want war, you will need them. It was the ultimate power move. She was offering the emperor a way out, but only on her terms. The truth that Roman historians were often reluctant to admit is that Amanirenas made a war too expensive to win. She weaponized the desert itself, strangling Roman supply lines until the cost of holding Egypt far outweighed the price. She forced the world's most powerful empire into a mathematical surrender. And the impossible happened. Augustus, the man who bowed to no one, accepted. He signed a treaty that was unheard of in Roman history. He waived the taxes, he returned the territory, and he recognized the sovereignty of Kush. For the next 3 centuries, the borders of Rome would stop where Amanirenas told them to stop. History is often written by the victors, and for centuries Roman historians tried to paint this war as a minor skirmish. They tried to bury the memory of the queen who made them retreat, but they couldn't bury the bronze head of Augustus. It remained under the threshold of Meroe for nearly 2,000 years, a silent metallic scream of a queen who proved that an empire is only as strong as the fear it inspires. And Amanirenas, she feared nothing. She lived as a queen, fought as a soldier, and died as a legend. She's the reason the heart of Africa remained free while the rest of the world fell to the eagles of Rome. Amanirenas, the Kandake, the one who saw the future with a single eye. Her story is now part of yours.